You walk into the movie theater holding a ticket you bought online for 12 bucks. You're excited for the new movie and your good seats. Then you pass the concession stand and see the prices. $15 for popcorn and $8 for a soda? $10 for candy you could get at the gas station for $2. Your brain does the math. You're about to spend more on snacks than you did on the actual movie. Ever wonder why theaters act like bringing in a bag of chips is the same as smuggling contraband across international borders? Today, I'll explain the backwards business model of movie theaters like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll know exactly why theaters can't survive without expensive snacks and why your ticket would cost $40 without them. Here's what nobody tells you about this business. Movie theaters don't make money from movies at all. I know that sounds ridiculous. It's literally in the name. But stick with me. When you buy a movie ticket, the theater keeps almost none of it. The movie studio takes somewhere between 70 to 80% of every ticket sold. That opening weekend when everyone rushes to watch the new superhero movie, studios might take 90% of ticket sales. So that $12 ticket you just bought, the theater only keeps $2 or $3 total. They literally cannot pay the rent, the employees, the electricity, the property insurance, the equipment maintenance, or anything else with ticket sales alone. The numbers simply don't add up. But here's where the whole thing flips around. That $15 bucket of popcorn you're buying? The theater keeps about 85 to 90% of that money. The actual popcorn, the kernels, the oil, the butter-flavored topping, costs them maybe $2. So they're pocketing around 12 or 13 bucks from every sale. Same deal with soda. The cup and syrup combined cost them pennies. They keep almost everything you pay for those drinks. Suddenly, the whole operation makes sense. Movie theaters aren't in the movie business at all. They're in the snack business and just happen to show movies to get you through the door. Imagine if your favorite pizza place had to give 80% of every pizza sale to the company that made their ovens. They'd go out of business immediately. So instead, they sell you the pizza at cost but charge you 15 bucks for a bottle of water. You'd be annoyed and complain online. But if that's the only way they can keep the doors open and you really like their pizza, you'd probably pay it. That's exactly what's happening at the movies. The ticket price barely covers the cost of licensing the film from the studio. Everything else, the building, the employees, the fancy reclining seats, the sound systems, the digital projectors that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, gets paid for by popcorn. This is why theaters are so weird about outside food. You sneaking in a bag of chips is the same as walking into a restaurant with your own burger and just ordering water. Their entire survival depends on concession sales. If everyone stopped buying snacks, ticket prices would have to triple just for theaters to break even. Industry experts say ticket prices would need to jump to $35 or $40 per person if concession sales disappeared. Suddenly, that $15 popcorn starts looking like a compromise. You're not getting ripped off, you're getting a choice. Pay 12 bucks for the ticket and 15 for snacks, or pay 40 bucks just to walk in the door. Now, here's where it gets even stranger. The longer a movie plays in theaters, the better it is for the theater. Studios take a smaller cut as weeks go by. Week 1? The studio takes 80%. Week 4? Maybe they're only taking 50%. So theaters actually want movies to stick around for months. They want you to see that movie 3 weeks after it opens, not on opening night. But everyone wants to avoid spoilers, so we all rush out opening weekend when they make the least money per ticket. It's a cruel irony that the busiest nights are often the least profitable for the theater itself. And this model isn't new. It's been around for decades, but it's gotten worse as studios gained more power. They know people will show up for big releases no matter what, so they demand bigger cuts. Disney, for example, reportedly took 65% of ticket sales for some releases. Theaters had no choice but to accept those terms. Say no, and you don't get to show the biggest movies of the year. Your competitor down the street shows them instead. So theaters agree to terrible deals and make up the difference at the concession stand. This power imbalance is exactly why some theater chains have pushed for premium formats like IMAX and Dolby Cinema. Studios allow theaters to keep a slightly higher percentage on these premium tickets. It's one of the few ways they can negotiate better terms without losing access to blockbuster films. But what about those fancy dine-in theaters with full menus? Same exact deal, just with a different menu. They're just expanding the concession model to include meals. Instead of popcorn, they're selling you a burger and a beer at restaurant prices. Or higher. They still barely keep anything from your ticket. The food is where they make money. Some of those places even make tickets cheaper because they know you'll spend 40 bucks on appetizers and drinks once you sit down. It's basically turning the theater into a restaurant that happens to have a screen. This matters to you because it explains every frustrating thing about going to the movies. Why they care if you bring candy, but don't care if you leave halfway through. Why they check your bag like you're boarding a plane. Why concession lines are always long and ticket lines move fast. They need you to wait at concessions, get hungry, get tempted, and spend money. The whole experience is designed to funnel you toward that counter. Even the smell of popcorn pumped through the lobby is intentional. It's the business model working exactly as designed. So what are your options? You could stop going to theaters entirely and wait for streaming. Plenty of people are doing that. Studios are releasing movies on streaming faster than ever, sometimes just weeks after theaters. But here's the thing, if theaters close, ticket prices for the movies that do play will skyrocket because studios will have even more power. Less competition means worse deals for everyone. Or theaters could try charging higher ticket prices and lowering concession prices. But every time they try that, people don't show up. Turns out we all hate the $15 popcorn, but we hate a $30 ticket even more. We'd rather have the option to skip the snacks, even if most of us end up buying them anyway. It's consumer psychology working against reasonable pricing. Some theaters are experimenting with different models to survive. Monthly subscription passes like AMC Stubs A-List let you see multiple movies per month for one flat fee. Loyalty programs give you free popcorn after enough visits. Cheaper morning showings bring in crowds during slow hours. Premium formats like IMAX, where they can charge more and keep a bigger cut. But the core problem hasn't changed. Studios have the content, and theaters have the buildings. And right now, content has all the leverage. The pandemic made this worse, giving studios even more bargaining power as theaters desperately needed films to bring audiences back. Another angle worth exploring is how international markets handle this differently. In some countries, theaters actually do make decent money from tickets because studios don't have the same negotiating power. In India, for example, ticket prices are heavily regulated by the government. Concession sales are less culturally expected. That forces a completely different business model. Could American theaters learn something from that approach? Maybe, but it would require either government intervention or studios voluntarily taking smaller cuts. Neither seems likely given how the entertainment industry operates. To recap, theaters keep only 20 to 30% of ticket sales, sometimes even less for big releases. That $2 or $3 per ticket doesn't cover rent, employees, or keeping the lights on. Concession sales. Theaters keep 85 to 90%. The actual cost to make that popcorn is under $2. They're not movie theaters that sell snacks. They're snack vendors that show movies to get you in the door. Without concession markups, ticket prices would hit $35 or $40 just for theaters to survive. The $15 popcorn is the subsidy keeping your ticket price down. So here's the real question. If theaters offered a choice at the box office, $12 ticket with current concession prices, or a $40 all-access ticket where you could bring whatever food you wanted inside, which would you actually pick? Drop your answer in the comments, and be honest. Would you really pay that much up front? Or do you prefer the cheaper ticket, even though you know you'll probably buy snacks anyway once you smell that popcorn?